Hello and welcome to Let's Ride with Stonewolf. We are in Scotland. We are just leaving Fort Augustus, heading southwards. We're just in the run out of the town. Oh, it's LEDs. No, it is actually flip. Wow, it is flip dots. That's interesting. It's like a flip dot speed display. You don't normally see those. Yeah, we're heading south. We did the NC 500, and now it's time to go home. We're on our way to Fort William. We've just got all the way up Loch Ness, and we're getting on our way. Let's just pass this guy. I hope my camera view is good. I noticed on basically all of my footage from the last couple of days that the camera seems to have a tendency to point down. I've tried to correct that. I'm going to go a little slower than that. But I've just recorded a lot of just me chatting about the NC 500 experience. If you want to check out the previous episode. But now we're just gonna follow this road all the way to Fort William. Somewhere on the right hand side there's gonna be a lake. I'm not entirely sure how far it is to that lake. It's a few miles. But we're in the sort of cache that goes across the middle of the Highlands. Going particularly faster than that guy along here, but we will be going faster than him very soon. So we don't want to be behind him. Little signs for works and stuff. I don't think it's going to affect us on the road here. What they're building. Oh, this is kind of nice. It's quite a fast road. Yeah, A82. Got a lot of bends in it, but there's nothing where you really have to slow down a huge amount. I talked about a little bit about this in previous episodes. Because there's no traffic and there's not a lot of little villages that you have to slow down for, your average speed ends up being quite high, and kind of throws off my expected state of charge planning. There's the other lake. Oh, look at that view in the distance as well. Up there. There are probably some really interesting signal tracks up in that direction. I'm not a huge fan of signal tracks. This would be a well-worn subject for some of my subscribers, but I'm not really big fan of single tracks, but if they're of a high quality, they can be very interesting. They look way more interesting than a road like this. You can experience some stuff that you just wouldn't get on this kind of road. But I tend to shy away from them because they have, in general, like terrible surfaces, terrible sight lines, and that kind of thing. I tend to view single tracks as something where I can't trust that the experience is going to be good, because the quality of the road will override the interestingness of the route. Crossed over to the side of the lake. And that's kind of why I'm not really into the whole adventure bike thing. Like, adventure riders love those little single track roads, and I'm not really into them. The ones in the NC500 are extremely technical. They're extremely interesting, and the console have done like a really good job cleaning them up because they are so popular. I think they are slowly just cutting them out, which is a shame because you're going to lose some pretty cool little bits of road. Like they're replacing them with stuff like this, which is nice. Like, generally speaking, if I had to choose, I would prefer this kind of road. But there's a lot of little sort of windy, technical, is it going to be something around this corner, is there not kind of stuff. And it goes up and down and around and almost corkscrews in places, and you just like, there's a lot here that will be lost. But you can't blame the council for trying to do that, because you know, partially some of these roads, basically all of these roads really, are used by the local population for access. This is 40. I'll slow down. I totally missed the 40 sign. No wonder that turn was tight. Yeah, basically all of these roads are used by locals for access. So the council is like, wow, we've got all these tourists going along these roads, so that's an excuse for us to spend some money to upgrade the locals' access. And that's great for the locals. But you do have like a conflict of interest there, because kind of what a lot of the people who are doing the tourist thing on those roads want is those weird little roads. But that's not what the locals want, I can tell you. And ultimately, from the council's point of view, upgrading the roads makes the locals happy. And upgrading the roads makes people with camper vans happy. What it doesn't do is make motorcycles happy, or hikers happy, because hiking that route is a thing that you can do. Cycling that route is pretty popular as well. It's be an absolutely epic cycle, I have to say. Exhausting, I guess, but epic. I wouldn't want to walk it. I don't think I'd want to walk it. council putting the effort in to make sure that the surface is smooth and you have a little more sight is good, like a bit more sight lines in some of the places. That's good. That's a good compromise, and it does make the route a lot better for people like me. It makes me a lot less annoyed that I have to stick the track, but it also makes it a lot better for locals, even if they don't get like this kind of high quality road. It's like some of these places, they really are in the middle of nowhere, and people live there, you know. People have like whole villages and communities there with like shops and stuff. But there's not really enough for the council to justify building like a proper full high quality road to it. So they're just like, well, the single track exists, so we can just make the single track have a decent surface, and that's enough. That'll do it. For these like sparsely strewn out tiny communities. It's the kind of logic the councils do use, whether you like it or not. As someone who very much comes from that kind of area, I had the good fortune to live on a road of similar quality to this, because my community was quite large by the standards of the area, but all around we had little places of tiny little moraines, where your only access is a single track road. It's absolutely pockmarked and there's grass in the middle of it, and you go up this road and there's a little community there, you know, and the council's just like, well, there aren't enough people there to justify road improvements, so all we're going to do is like every 5 to 10 years we're going to roll up there with a thing that sprays tar and drop a lot of chips on top of it. Well, thanks for that. bled off all of my speed. It immediately turned green as I stopped. Sinus 30, there we go. Yeah, all the way up along to Inverness, and that's the Great Glen. And it's kind of like, it's not the fastest way to get south, but it is like a really obvious route that you could travel just to like get south from Inverness. The fastest way is to take the A9 through the Cairngorms, or I think it's like more along the Cairngorms than through them, but they've really put a lot of money into that road. Definitely like the fastest way to get there, but it's also boring, as we discovered previously, or as I talked about previously. It's like, yeah, it's a dual carriageway through some nice terrain, and that makes it at least a little interesting, but at the end of the day, it's still a dual carriageway, you know? Not much traffic, and there's not many like little communities to go through. I'm really confused by the lack of traffic, to be honest. I had expected there to be more. It's weird to complain that there isn't enough traffic, but some parts of this trip have been quite eerie, frankly. I guess it's the weather. It was like the big storm that happened on Monday, and that probably put a whole bunch of people off. Overtake here. Come on. I have to overtake both of them. I think we do. We're cramping my style quite hard. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you expect a bunch of that stuff, like the local traffic, and there's kind of not really any, and then, I mean, I'm probably out before a lot of the traffic now anyway, but, yeah, I guess, yeah, we're starting to pick up traffic. Today, I guess it's just because of early, but on Monday, I think it's just like the storms, and it was kind of surprising to me that there was so little traffic, because like surely people doing NC500 have booked this well in advance, and they're there anyway. But the answer is because you're going to do the NC500 with quite lazy scheduling. It's raining. We've gone to the pub, you know. That's the answer. We'll make it up another time. And when the weather did improve, there were actually people out. When I was in Scurry, there were people out on the road. There was bikes out and stuff. time, but at the expense of battery charge, which is kind of what's happening here. We're making great time, but at the expense of our remaining charge. I'll be fine. Yeah, we don't have 20 to go. We got somewhere between 10 and 15, I think, to go. Tip, I think. Commando Memorial. Oh, I remember this, yeah. We go up the hill, it's Commando Memorials at the top. I'm like, ooh. Because commandos, when they originally formed, they trained up in Scotland. I didn't realize. I thought it was somewhere along the coast, but I guess it might be up here. Yeah, 11 miles. I mean, it's a little more than 11 miles because we have to go through Fort William to like near the other side. We're doing fine. There's a 30 coming up. It's scrubbed off like the chevrons. Getting down into this 30. And this Bean Bridge. I mean, yeah, in the 1940s, like, this place would have been really isolated. I'm guessing there would have been a railway here. I know there's a railway somewhere along here. Old station restaurant. So yeah, there's a railway here. So you could have gotten a train, but you wouldn't have. It wouldn't have been a place that you would drive to, and especially with wartime fuel restrictions. Like, unless you had a reason to come here, you wouldn't. So it would have been really isolated. And I guess that makes it a good place to train, like, commandos. Because you can do it, like, you know, without anyone bothering you. Away from the old prying eyes. It'd be really easy to control information about it. People tend not to realize that about World War II. Like, it was because of the restrictions on travel. Because they didn't have like the information sphere that we have, with like cell phones and the internet and all that kind of thing. It was a lot easier to keep a secret. Places were a lot more isolated. You could get out into the middle of nowhere and set something up and basically just get buy-in from the local community to shut up about it. These days, like, excess of government power. It's just like how it was at the time and how it is today. People trusted the government more. And people will do like remarkable things in times of crisis. Like in a time of crisis, people will band together naturally. You should not believe the way that some people talk about this. We are hardwired to deal with crises socially. But people will band together to deal with crisis collectively, and if trust in government is low, then government will be seen as an alternative power in the crisis. It may be seen as something to work around or even against. But if trust in the government is high, the government can be seen as the mechanism through which people band together to get through the crisis. That's kind of how World War II worked. People trusted that the government was doing the right thing and worked with it to see the country through the war. But in recent years, with stuff like Iraq 2 and Afghanistan and that kind of thing, people have not had that trust that the government was doing the right thing. They have not had that desire to band together to help the government in what it claims is an important task. I think that would be different in a war that was very real for the people of Britain. But you can see it in other crises too. Like the levels of distrust in the government that were on display during the pandemic were something serious. And that's not like a general trend even. It is something that has been done, right? This isn't even kind of conspiracy theory. Like, there's no one working to smash people's trust in the government. It's just the actions of people who are untrustworthy, who occupy positions of power. And they destroy trust in the institutions through their own untrustworthiness. And the problem with trust is it's very easy to break. But it is very easy to destroy someone's trust in something or someone. And it is very hard to build it back up. Years to build and moments to destroy. But, you know, Ed Miliband couldn't eat a sandwich. This is Fort William. So, if you have anything to say, hit me up in the old comment section. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you did, check out some of my other videos. You might like them. If you do, consider subscribing and hit that bell. And if you would like to reward me for entertaining you today, you can find the relevant links to do so in the description below. Bye bye.